If you're missing Milani comes.
Yeah, let's wait and see if once we launch it. Paul, could you look at the YouTube station and see if it's playing?
Heat wave. They heat wave. Yeah, seems to be going.
Now, will there be an echo with the mic is the question.
Volume up and see.
Now, will there be an echo with the mic is the question.
No.
Just delayed. Ooh, does it give a 5-second delay so you can? Right. In case I slip and say something that I shouldn't.
But she did not respond fast.
Wow.
Got my glucose monitor on here that I can't silence in the event you hear alarms going off.
We do have a quorum though, right?
We do that. If you want
You good? Call to order the Cordova School District Board of Education June 10th meeting. Please stand for the flag salute. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, and roll call, please.
Am I there?
Present?
Kate Trudeau. Alani Toole. Pete Hefner. Here. And Hank Rudolph.
Here we have a quorum.
I move to approve the. Right, yeah, I move to.
Let's see it. So at this time, we are going to do a presentation.
Yes,
We are
something that's not on the agenda.
not on the agenda, but we'll do a presentation. Yeah.
It is. But yeah, well, the board really appreciates you, Alex. We just really, and this isn't anything enough, but we just appreciate the 11 years that you've been here, and the growth. I've always said a long-term superintendent, is able to start initiatives and move forward with different projects. And in the long term, it really helps student achievement ultimately. And that's shown by, 2 years of, by whatever metric you want to call it, but U.S. News and World Report has given Cordova High School, #1 in the state of Alaska. It's quite a celebration, if you ask me. And just all the work that you've done, developed your own staff. I always remember that executive session we were having. The audience was filled. We were doing your evaluation, and I couldn't figure out why everybody was whispering to Barb as we're moving into executive session. Is everybody think we're cutting the superintendent, and the mayor comes in and espouses how good you were. The staff came in and mentioned, the things that you do for the district, for staff. You'd made cakes for individuals when they just moved to town. I was chuckling just the other day with somebody about how somebody came in and was barking at you when you were sweeping the gym, they thought you were the janitor and you were correcting the students' actions, and they came in and thought you were the janitor. So all of your roles that you've done over the years, the time that you've taken out and given of yourself, outside of, I don't know how many hours a week you work. And, I've always said I want to take a broken pump and throw it on the table and see what new superintendent can, what the look on their face is. But superintendent in a small district is just charged with so many different things. It's a real, I mean, it's quite and then I've always told you, I said, I don't know who in their right mind would become a superintendent. And making it through the pandemic was quite a chore, everything was kicked down from the federal to the state and down to you at the local district level. And, there were definitely hard times that you dealt with, very appropriately. And, yeah, I might have cursed a few times. But anyway, we just really appreciate you, and I want to give you this little certificate you can put on your wall someplace and hang. But I'll read what it says here. It says the Cordova School District Certificate of Recognition in honor of 11 years of outstanding performance and dedication. We gladly present Alex Russin with a certificate of recognition for your high standards of excellence in the support of Cordova's youth. And yeah, thank you ever so much. Really appreciate it, Alex.
Yeah, thanks, Pete.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, we should, if all the board was here.
Okay. 1, 2.
Excellent. And, it's remarkable. I mean, I've been on the board for way too long or something or other, but, we've had superintendents 5 years was the most. And, what I've seen them a year and a half, a year and such. So it's just really impressive. Your perseverance, grit, and something or other else, and resilience. And also, we'd like to give you this gift certificate, and this is a unique one. It's wide open. I tell you, it's hard to get those wide open because I wanted you to pick whatever style, whatever, if you want to put a hood on there, whatever trim. And so it's wide open, and fix it up the way you want it. And then we'll take care of it, and just really appreciate your years and years of service. And one of the things, your dedication and not taking raises and not taking the COVID bonus that you gave everybody else, is just really remarkable. And just, as I say, just really appreciate your leadership and mentorship of all the staff, and helping develop staff members as well. So thanks so much.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you. I would just make a quick comment. I've heard Pete say over the years, I don't know who in their right mind would want to be superintendent. And every time he says that, he's making an assumption.
Right. Yeah.
When he says that to me. I'm like, have you asked yourself? Maybe I'm not my very mind, Pete.
Right. It's just people don't understand how much work you have to do in that particular position. Don't understand all the federal and this idea of accountability, and taking everybody and taking of your time away from your family.
And, I would be remiss if I didn't say, it really takes good people around you. And you hear that often, as people are leaving or they're moving on. But truly, I mean, the last couple of years, the staff that we have had, leadership wise, and it's just been really great. So supportive, and it makes a superintendent's job much easier. I won't say easy, but much easier when you've got good people around you. And that's been the case my entire time here. So I appreciate everybody's work, and those that are here in the audience sitting on a Wednesday night. They're like, where's the rest of the admin team? I know Chris is thinking that.
Oh,
thank you.
One other anecdote. I was just out in Bethel, and I ran into an old friend, Gary Baldwin, who was a prior superintendent of Lower Kuskokwim School District. He was a real long-term serving superintendent out there. And he happened to mention that he tried to steal Alex several times to LKSD, but we were fortunate enough to get Alex here, so.
Thank you all.
Emma, did you want to say it? I want to add one thing, and Alex is obviously terrific job as superintendent, but you're really a nice guy. And I appreciate getting to know you on a personal basis. And I appreciate your willingness to make me feel welcome in this community when I was new to the community. So I will miss our conversations very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, let's move on. A motion, please.
I move to approve the June 10th, 2026 regular meeting agenda as presented.
I will second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none, voice vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion passes. Audience comments. And I see none. I need a motion for the consent agenda.
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented in the board packet.
All second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion?
It's sort of wanted to pull it just, and I just had one question, so if we wanted to move it down to new business, or I guess we could put under information items, or
What do you want? Which
Oh.
one did you want to move?
I just wanted to ask a question about the items on the consent agenda.
Oh, okay. How would we,
We can move it under K, under information items.
okay,
Well.
so does that mean the whole
it needs
consent
to be
agenda
approved,
doesn't?
So we would move it under new business.
Okay,
Or approve.
yeah, thank
Okay.
you, Alex.
So does that mean everything on the consent agenda then moves?
Yeah, just.
Okay, great. So we do not have to vote on that since it's been moved, right? Or do we
Correct.
move on it being, or do we vote on it being moved?
Yeah, we do vote on it being, no, we approved the consent agenda.
So we have not approved the consent agenda.
Right, so because all of the items, well. We have all of the stipends are sort of bundled or could be bundled.
Yeah.
And then
Sorry.
the May regular meeting minutes are on the consent agenda. So you would approve the consent agenda with the movement of those stipends to new
So
business.
stipends is
Item
three, say,
2 through 10, correct, yeah.
okay. So we have a motion to approve the consent agenda, to further discuss item 1 and to approve items 2, to approve item 1 and to discuss items 2 through 10.
Yeah.
Okay. Can voice vote on that, please? Signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Those opposed? Motion passes.
Can I just clarify where that moved to? Was it information, new business?
7.
So those can all be bundled under one motion.
Just let me know when that happens. So that moves us to reports. Student council is not present. Cordova Education Association and CEG are not present. City council not present. And we'll move to board reports. AASB, anything to report today?
Yeah, I had notes here. Yes. Oh, sorry. Yeah, at AESB, we're watching the legislative, things happening down there. It's interesting. I bumped into Representative Stapp at the Anchorage Airport, and I was chatting with him. They're moving forward with the gas line idea, and I don't know if they're gonna cut taxes on that. But I was asking him, I said, this HB 78, the teacher retirement bill, it got hung up in this process and the governor vetoed it because of the gas line. They didn't cut the corporation taxes on the gas line. And I was asking him this retirement bill, which is so important to teachers, policemen and firemen, sort of got lost in the tangle. I was chatting with somebody else about Senator Stevens' civics bill, and the governor doesn't like Senator Stevens, so it'll be interesting just even to watch, see if he vetoes that one. It is interesting also the BSA increase is, it is pretty remarkable. I was just chatting with somebody else about that, in that it's a $460 increase to the BSA, which is unbelievable, and sort of in one aspect. But you really have to temper yourselves. Well, you got the governor could veto it, and then the other thing, it's a one-time funding. It isn't, something you can bank on down the road type of thing. But that's still in play. So there's still a lot kind of going on in Juneau, and we have until the 30th of June for the governor to line item veto things. So we still don't really know if this funding, which could be a fair amount of money to the district, but we'll just kind of have to wait and see.
Any indication of what the governor's thinking? That's a tough question.
It's so funny, and this governor, even when he first got elected, his Tuckerman Babcock said this governor will not be in the public. And it's just entirely baffling. The legislature says, well, it's hard to work with a governor who's not there. So nobody knows it. And, I've been saying, well, I would doubt that he's even going to fund it because he's vetoed every education funding thing that's come forward to him in the last 8 years. The only reason we got funding was because the legislature took their power back and overrode them last year, which is really remarkable. So it'll be fascinating to see how this all plays out.
Okay, thank you. No site councils?
There was a site council.
Oh, there was, sorry. Thank you.
But I wasn't able to attend because it was like on the same day as a bunch of other things. I'm pretty sure Milani went, but I don't have a report.
Okay. Elementary site council, there was none, no. Safety facilities,
We had no.
No. curriculum, we did not have. Policy committee, we did not have.
We do have one policy coming up though, and I appreciate Alex for putting it in the packet. And Alex had developed an AR that goes along with it that has some great information on how to follow that particular policy.
No negotiations, going to administrative reports. Food service reports in our packet. Maintenance.
So we got summer maintenance tasks taking place. You might notice the hallway, all the furniture out in the hall. Dennis is hard at work getting the floor stripped right now, start waxing all the classrooms. Paul has done a great job of helping coordinate with the National Guard on some punch list items to get done around here. One of the first ones they tackled was repainting the room in here.
Oh.
You notice the walls are glistening a little bit more.
Right.
Brighter white. So it's always nice to have them around to help with some of the lifting around here. In July, we're tentatively scheduled to, well, it's gonna happen in July, but the date is tentative for demoing that derelict building out back, so that'll be a long time coming to get that done. I think that's it. Any questions?
No, I'd like to.
Nice job on the demoing of the building. That thing has lurked out there for so long.
Yeah,
It'll be kind of nice to have a clear space out there for something or other.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, the big concern with that is the weather demolishing it uncontrollably before we get the chance to do it in a controlled fashion. So it'll be nice to get that hazard out of the way and move forward with whatever. I imagine will open some parking for sports events in the meantime.
I had a question about the waste pipe That was,
Oh, yeah.
working with the city, have we made any progress talking to the city
We
about that
haven't made
one?
any progress on getting that dig done. I know that Joel said that he was gonna be out of town for some
Okay.
time in June, so
Okay.
imagine when he gets back to town, we'll attack that as
Gotcha,
well.
well, thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, and I was noticing as I walked in all the cots and stuff, and I appreciate you working with the National Guard. Pretty fun to have some extra hands around. A couple extra hands have got to help a lot.
Yeah.
But just appreciate all the work that you're doing around the building with this
But yeah,
off time.
in case you guys didn't notice when you were coming in the front of the building, if you look up on the face of the school, you'll see a new Wolverine up there, so.
I missed
See
that. I
that.
gotta look at it.
That was another one that the guard helped us with, so. Yeah,
Nice.
good stuff happening.
Excellent.
Alright.
Thank you. I did want to backtrack just for a second and make note of how many bags of breakfasts were handed out. That's an incredible amount. I think
1,400 some.
1,600 meals, 236 bags. That's
Yeah.
that's a big impact into our community.
Yeah.
So
And I think for me, just some of the, like a couple of top talking points that you all as board members could have. I think that first day of distribution, I ran into, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 parents out and about town, and I reminded them, and, a couple of them seemed a little kind of bashful about, well, we don't really need, and, I explained to them that one, the more students that come and get those takeaway meals, the greater our reimbursement is in terms, and a higher rate of reimbursement in addition to that. So the more that we can have come and do that, we net gain some revenue. I anticipate that we probably will be getting probably in the low $40,000 if we continue this rate of kind of those meals. This
net 40.
yeah. So that will greatly contribute to the food service program and lessen our transfer to out of the general fund to cover the food service program costs. So that will be a great asset.
And when we talk about net costs on food service, do we take the wages out of the food service?
Mhm.
But yeah,
Yeah, so that dollar amount that I mentioned is minus our costs for the foods and staffing costs as well.
My question was just last year, I think we estimated 30,000. What was it? Do you know what it was last
It
year?
was right around 34,000.
34, okay, so
Yeah.
a little bit more.
Yeah, I was just wondering if somebody should shoot out an article into the Cordova Times to speak about that. And I do understand that idea of, not wanting to being bashful or whatnot,
Mhm.
thinking, and that way, an article would be kind of nice. Even mentioning that, I don't know how you can say, don't shame yourself to go there,
Right.
but that it helps the district.
Yeah.
The other question I had was on, when we look at the total of, Mount Echo's lunches is nearly 30,000, and the high school lunches are 13,000 or so. Are we getting and these are all free lunches? Do we get funded, I can't talk, refunded money based on the number of lunches, and should we encourage the kids to eat lunches, more type of thing? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, so first of all, remember that the elementary school has almost double the number of students here, so the comparison isn't an apples to apples.
Sure.
And then here at the high school, you've got grades 9 through 12. That's an open campus, right?
Sure.
So really, you're looking at the 7th and 8th grade meals that are probably largely a bulk of that number
Sure.
here. Although there are a lot of high school students, and I know they're encouraged. In the newsletters, it talks about reimbursable meals and making sure that students have the right components and so forth. So I think it's probably just an ongoing effort at, it would be interesting to look at the seasons or the time of year to see if there are more kids that stay on campus for lunch, say during the, winter or during February when it's a little bit darker, or are they going off of campus for lunch regardless of the weather or time of year?
I always think, to myself, so you got a family, you got multiple kids, you forget the younger kids are eating free and the family saves money on that. But then the high schooler is off getting a burger, a pop, and it spends $20 a day on lunches.
Right.
Kind of counterproductive for the family.
So it is based on the number of meals that we served, our reimbursement.
Mhm.
And then
So if we
what,
close the
70%
high school down entirely, just force them to stay in the middle, which I never want to do.
Yeah, I recommend you do that.
Right.
Yeah, but then we'd be buying more food and everything else too, and since we don't,
Yeah,
the food service still runs doesn't make any money, so
right.
There,
we wouldn't gain anything by that.
I've just been tracking like how many kids are eating lunch and it's gotta be close to like over 90%. Cause if you just take like 230 kids times 170 days of school, that's like 39,000. 39,000? Yeah, and I guess we're at 30, so not 90, but it's really up there in terms of like how many lunches could you provide? And that's just elementary.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right. And moving on to. What's the next report we got here? And yes, it is. I remember Paul said he wasn't, no, Nathan.
Reports in the packet.
Yeah. Any questions today for Annie?
When is your next NIMBY?
July.
I think so you get to it, and it's just one every July.
The in-persons are twice a year, they're not in December, July. And then the other 2 weeks. Like, yeah.
So Aaron Brendan Flores, I see 20,000 approved for that. I think we talked about it before, 4,000 bill. Does she just slow in billing? Does that become problematic for you?
She's not slow in billing, I think, it's, I mean, there's what we budgeted for, contracted with, and then there's what the actual work that's performed. Cause it's as needed.
Are you anticipating that 20,000 will be used?
No, I mean, unless I find that she's new, so I mean, maybe maybe there is a delay in billing I'm unaware of, but it hasn't been a problem. So no, I do not anticipate hitting that 20,000.
Okay. Any other questions? Nope. We'll move on to the superintendent's report.
Well, I don't think there's anything that jumps off on the page there for my last official report, but one of the goals that when I was initially hired 11 years ago was that the superintendent seek alternative sources of revenue in the district. And I think over that period of time, again, the admin team and those around me helping to do the work have really gone above and beyond to really try to gain additional revenue, whether it be through grants or other opportunities with helping other school districts and us writing MOUs for support services, in addition to, some of our partnerships with NVE the last 3 years in particular. So I feel good about having worked on that goal for the last 11 years and, revenues during that time. So that's something that I'm proud to say that our team worked really hard at doing, and I think we'll continue to work hard at doing in years coming.
I had a question on, kind of on that same line. The National Guard that's doing work right now, is the work that they're doing kind of in exchange for like reduced revenue that they'd be paying in, or is it separate from what we're charging them to pay? Charging them to use our school, right? They're using the schools too.
Mhm. So our agreement is with NVE, and not the National Guard directly. So I negotiated directly with NVE on the facility, use dollar amount. And so the work that they are doing sort of to help out around is not in lieu of payment, or it's not being reduced or kind of deducted from that negotiated amount. So
Okay.
that $85,000 for this summer is firm, and I asked that be paid in our new fiscal year, so
Okay,
that
that's my
didn't,
second question.
yeah, so it didn't impact our year end.
Yeah.
10%.
Perfect.
Any other
Nicely done.
And yeah, and that in the budget that appears in line 0440, other local news. If you get a chance to, the last page of my report is sort of anecdotal in a way, but the title of kind of the thing is Ingredients for Change: Community Schools and Blueberries. If you get a chance to read anything about Jamie Vollmer, who this blueberry story is the author of, he's definitely worth a read. And I don't know if I haven't followed him over the years, but I heard him speak about 15 years ago or so with person, and it was a really compelling presentation. And just really support for public schools is we can't lessen our efforts at trying to garner support for public schools in particular. And I think that story hit me home really about we don't turn away any of our blueberries, right? We take the bruised ones, we take the plump ones, and kind of the dehydrated ones, if you will. And that's one of the differences about a public school setting versus a private school setting, or other types of public schools like charter schools, right? Charter schools are public schools, but they have different ways of operation, and can be a little bit more selective in their student population. So I would encourage everybody that, the chances that they get to talk about public education and the importance of it, and certainly here locally, we just need to continue the efforts that we've made and continue to get what our kids deserve. So.
Yeah, really, I enjoyed reading it very much because throughout my entire career, I've always heard the argument, if schools would only run like business, they could fix everything. And it makes a good point of no, they can't.
Yeah, I've used this one in the legislature quite often. He also wrote one about how many different things, over the 100 years, what education has to do, and that unfunded mandates type of thing across the nation, from way back. And, it's pretty crazy how we keep piling more and more. It always baffles me that why is the legislature creating education pedagogy or attempting to, when they are not experts in the field. But yeah, there's just more and more piled on education. So I love this article.
And Pete, that's called The List. So if you look up Jamie Vollmer, The List.
Okay.
He starts in 1900, and by decades, lists what the responsibilities of schools were. And with each progressive decade, there are more and more and more things. The last that was published was in 2010, the last decade. And certainly there's been even more since that time. So that's a nice read too, just to kind of see over time what the roles and responsibilities of public schools have taken on.
Yes.
Oh, I appreciate your little thank you in there as well. That was very nice.
All right, financials.
Oh, I had a question, oh, like with some of the ones in looking at page 34. Oh, like I see the year-to-date expenses, like for example, the Indian education or the REAP. Are those the funds just haven't come in yet?
Correct.
Okay, perfect.
I think I have a dumb question.
No such thing.
Thank you. I started it that way. You can tell me what- it's the fiscal or the year ends in June, on June 30th. But then you'll probably do some like reconciling, right? Like to get to where you're, okay.
Was that the question?
That was, I just wanted to show you that that's how it worked. So the fund balance would be after all your reconciliations and everything.
So. Well, the fund balance we report to the state. That fits within 10% cap.
Mhm.
Is that only account code 100? Is everything below that?
Yes.
Yes? Okay,
I-
so it's only the general funds,
It's just the
general
funds.
funds balance that we have to stay within 10% of our budget.
Right.
The rest of it are all predetermined amounts of money for certain things that are set aside, so to speak. Capital
Yeah.
accounts, kids accounts, food service accounts.
Yeah, and some of our expenses are grants, of course, so you
Yeah.
won't see like the occupational therapist or the OT. That's funded out of a Title 6B grant, special education grant. So if we don't meet that threshold of what we budgeted for it, that won't be additional money in the general fund. It will be remaining funds left in the grant.
Okay, now the funds, some of the funds, even though they're not reportable as part of the fund balance within the 10% cap, still can be transferred into the general fund at a later time, right? Like the scholarship fund or those can still be transferred. They're not, the capital is locked in capital.
Correct.
And there's penalties if you move it.
Yes,
But that's not the case for some of these others.
correct.
Okay.
And then that stagecoach sweep interest, we made nearly $90,000 this year on just doing that.
And interest, yeah.
Looks like we need to get a stagecoach.
Right. Let's get together and find a stagecoach.
I'm not sure if Milani,
Oh.
are you aware of that?
No.
So in our Wells Fargo account, in our checking account, right, there's a separate account created called sweep.
Okay.
And I may be technically wrong in explaining this, but this is how my mind kind of works, is that basically all of the money from what would have been in our checking account resides in this sweep account.
Okay.
And the sweep account is actively earning interest in lots of different ways. And when we go to write a check, as it were, the sweep account looks to see if there's money available in the checking account. And if there's not, it pulls that amount from the sweep account to cover what that check payment would be.
Okay.
Or like,
Technically the balance is zero checking account.
Right.
Technically, but yeah, it just like kind of, there's a daily interchange of what goes in and out, and so it lives in that investment account aside, or the, sweep account. And
Okay.
yeah, and it generates.
Is there a minimum balance that needs to remain in that sweep account?
Sweep account, yeah.
No,
So it's been sort of a new, about a year and a half, 2 years ago.
yeah, 2 years ago we created that. So.
So it's,
So we've basically given them permission to
Invest.
use our assets
Mhm.
as money to take a loan out, so to speak, and.
Like, we're not at risk of losing that
No,
should
completely understand.
the market do something because of the way that it's set up.
Yeah, well, as a private person, like they've talked to me, he said, look, will you lock in for 4 months a certain amount of the money you have in, in your savings and checking?
Mm.
Then you can't touch it, but we'll pay you much better interest on it.
Mm.
Because they want to utilize it also.
So that's, kind of mentioned earlier about that goal 11 years ago about finding additional revenue sources. And that's been one of the last couple of years that it really paid dividends, so to speak, just to help gain interest and revenue.
That's half an educator, right? So.
Yeah.
It's big town, I think.
New revenue stream.
Any other questions on the financials? I continue to be amazed at how much money some of our programs, our student programs, carry from year to year to year. I mean, some of them have a set amount of money, and then they, spend some of it, but then they earn about the same amount. They end the year with almost the same amount as they began.
I mean, as from my coach side of things, like I use our fundraising during the season to fund the next season. And I will say the fundraising that we did this season brought in what we usually need, but we have a big season ahead of us. We need a lot of money.
Yeah. Well, and two things. I mean, it's a lot of money that what is it, 400,000 or something that we have in our,
In total.
in total for all these programs. The other side is that it made me think of just how generous this community must be to be
Yeah.
donating that much money to all these programs.
It's, I mean, it's, just in with the number of groups that we have that do fundraising too, it always, like, just since I've seen, started this and seen and going through it, it is crazy how awesome.
Yeah.
What, and I just appreciate that the fundraising that I see a lot of our groups doing isn't just like asking like for a handout. They're like making food, they're washing your car, they're providing things and I'm happy to pay stuff like that.
Is that, can that be sometimes kind of a financial nightmare trying to keep track of?
Yes.
I can only imagine at times people showing up with a
Yeah,
plastic bag filled with money, or do they deposit it themselves? How's that?
no, it comes to us.
Yeah.
Wadded up.
Sammy loves counting
You
cash.
gotta you lock in a file cabinet a bag that's got, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that bad.
No.
The groups are pretty good about keeping pretty organized because it's their money. And so if it doesn't make it to us and if it doesn't, then it doesn't make it in their account. And so it is a lot of times envelopes of cash, at various times, like for instance, our serve-a-thon is probably one of the biggest headaches. I'm not gonna stop doing it, but we've got money coming in for months afterwards, just randomly.
Yeah.
And so,
And that must be why some districts use like a booster group to deal with all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
And it becomes completely separate from the district.
there is a booster group they've been working the last couple of years on getting rebooted and stuff, and I'm not sure. So far, it's not there's no relationship financially that way, but
Yeah.
I think eventually when they get stuff, they have to straighten out some historic issues. With
Yeah.
their books. Or
Well, I think some of the bigger districts and like the music program have its own boosters, and
yeah,
the football team has its own boosters, and volleyball has its own booster. That gotta be a nightmare too.
it's
That's ripe for people taking advantage too.
yeah, but so far.
So far,
It's obnoxious, but it's worth it, so.
Yeah. yeah.
Especially if you're the coach.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I want.
Well, it's extra work for you too. I mean, having to manage those accounts.
The whole other side of it.
Any other questions on the financials? In that case, we will move on to new business. Yes, please.
I move to approve the transfer of $116,070 from the general fund to the capital projects curriculum review adoption cycle fund, program 600 as presented in the board packet.
Second it.
We moved to seconded discussion. Hearing none, we'll vote with a voice vote. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion passes.
Second.
And next motion.
I move to approve the prepayment for the
Fiscal year.
fiscal year 27 healthcare expenditures in the amount of 430,000 from the general fund as presented in the board package.
Second.
Been moved and seconded, discussion. Hearing none, voice vote. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. District budget motion.
I'll move to adopt the FY 27 district budget as presented in the board packet.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, discussion.
Appreciate all the work that you did on this and the back and forth and reaching out and getting new revenue in and being able to work through our budget and get it to balance.
Well, make sure you thank the city council members for their support
Yeah.
in passing their approval for our request. It wasn't quite, what our ask was, but it was darn close. So we appreciate the conversations they had to have in order to do that. And keep our fingers crossed for the capital budget as well, again, try to gain some additional revenue.
And I appreciate the creative thinking with the healthcare expenditures and some of the transfers to capital accounts or curriculum accounts.
What is the staff declination of healthcare?
So we recently hired a couple, and so only one of them is eligible for they're both eligible to receive healthcare, but only one is paying for it. But when we built the budget, we didn't know who we were going to be hiring. So that declination kind of comes out of what we had budgeted for, because only one of the two staff will be paying for the family care.
Can you just speak to the additional elementary teacher and what the staffing is gonna look like at the elementary level?
Yeah, so right now, just based on student numbers, kindergarten will have 2 teachers, first grade, 1 teacher, and then the rest of the grades will have 2 teachers.
Fifth and sixth,
Each have 2.
each have their own.
Okay.
Two each.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're not gonna do the joint fifth, sixth.
How
Not
many?
today, unless we hit a groundswell of first graders coming in, but so each of those will just be separated into two different classes.
How many kiddos will be in first grade and which teacher?
Right
has-
now, 22.
22, okay, and which
Yeah.
teacher?
I think Dawn's still working on assignments,
Okay, 22.
staffing assignments.
I guess maybe you can speak to our reading goal with kindergarten being, or kindergarten, first grade being like within that prime time of trying to meet our reading goal. I guess what are your observations there with having now one teacher?
I think, that's, each of the grades had anywhere between 18 and 22 kids throughout the past few years as we're working toward meeting that goal. And I think, that the staff that Dawn's thinking of is well equipped to have a class of, 20 kids, 22 kids. There'll be some additional support with aides in that area too. So yeah, we're still working on the staffing allocations.
When I just think about like meeting our reading goals, I do also think about how kids grow so differently. You know, like they don't grow this, there's a big age, even just by your birthday, your differences there. And so I kind of think not just about making sure everyone's at grade level, but I remember going into my son's class at the very beginning of the school year in kindergarten. There was kids who were already reading some, you know, these words. And so I also think about our ability to be able to challenge and meet those kids' needs as well. So they're not bored, getting in trouble, kind of, you know, not enjoying it because boring, right? Or, you know, or they're not being challenged or really energized there. So anyway, that's what I'm thinking too when I think about our class sizes.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's where the MTSS structure comes into play, right? Where kids are placed during that time where their needs are. And sometimes that need is to be challenged. And other times it's for additional support. So that's you know, that's all part of the plan as well, and the structure at the elementary school.
In all honesty, we don't have the physical capacity to have two at each grade level, do we? Classroom wise, we don't have an empty classroom.
We don't have an empty classroom.
No.
I appreciate that we have food service in here and it wasn't, you know, kind of one of those ones that is it not going to, right? I think food service is absolutely like a hallmark of Cordova School District. And so I'm really happy to see that protected. It's just really hard for me to have a budget that doesn't include the amount of teachers that we want. And yeah, sound like a broken record, but now we're at the decision point and that's very difficult for me to swallow.
Yeah, and remember that particular position, that was in anticipation of a need based on student numbers, primarily at the elementary school. And, you know, as the time went on and we're getting more, you know, information, timely information, we don't have a need at this point in time at the elementary school for that teacher that was budgeted for, right? And so, and I was talking with somebody about this before, I don't necessarily see that as a cut because the position didn't exist in the first place. That was sort of a placeholder position based on what we thought the need was at the time our initial budget came out, and we kept it in there in the event that, you know, changing numbers would necessitate having an additional teacher. And as we have talked about before, as those larger classes move over here to the junior senior high, there will be a need for an additional staff member here. So, you know, that's something that I have in my notes with Kim, and certainly the admin team knows about that, and we'll be looking at that in future budget cycles to see, you know, what the need is, the shifting need.
Do we have an estimate of the kindergarten class coming in, of how many students that is?
I think we were initially thinking it was going to be around 20, but right now it looks like about 26 or 27. So that number is a little bit higher because we were talking about, like in past years, the consideration was to have one kindergarten teacher with two different sessions, a morning session and an afternoon session. But, you know, in talking with the teachers, having that afternoon class of students or cohort of kids, sometimes a little bit harder to get them going or keep them kind of focused because they've already had a morning of doing whatever they're doing outside of the school setting. And so, you know, I think that shows where we're asking teachers, you know, for feedback and input on, you know, what does that look like to have two cohorts, two different cohorts, and they're really adamant about, trying to get the kids there in the morning, to have the kids there at that time.
It's so fascinating. What a great experiment, but how we've, the smaller classes, well, I mean, way back in the day, the high school classes were 55 when I first got on the board before you were there. And, and then we kind of shrunk down to the 14, 18. Now we're seeing this bigger group, but yeah, is our numbers declining now with 20 in first grade? But yeah, now there's 26. So it's kind of a fascinating experiment to see the birth rate in Cordova and if it's dependent upon fishing or whatnot. So it's real interesting, yeah, to see.
I guess I just have one more point on like the staffing levels and supporting staff is that I would say that maybe even though it wasn't a position that we currently had, but for the last couple of years, we've already been talking about fifth grade, sixth grade. I mean, we tried this whole combo fifth, sixth grade class that now we really put an effort into, and now we're just not even doing it all and going back to kind of the tried and true is what in my mind I'm thinking of. And so I appreciate that we've been like working within constraints, but then sometimes there is just that like, this might just be the minimum, that this potentially could be the minimum that we might need for our schools to operate is having that additional elementary school teacher. So that's what I'm looking at, not just the individual classes, but kind of this feels like we've been here before for the last few years, actually. So again, no, thank you for speaking. Thank you for speaking to that. And I yeah.
I will say one last thing that, in my experience, 21, 22 was the target, always the target we were shooting for in kindergarten and first grade. Because that would make everybody very happy, including teachers. Because we sometimes had to toy with hiring a person than that, and that's when people got a little concerned. So to hear that we have 20, 22 kids, some of those kids probably will not spend their entire day in that class. I think it's very, very doable, especially with the interventions in place and kids moving and receiving services, both in and out of the classroom. Okay, any further discussion on that item? Okay, so we will go with a voice vote. Those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion passes.
I move to approve the Amplify curriculum purchase in the amount of $32,003 as presented in the board pack.
I'll second it.
Motion's been moved and seconded. Discussion?
I just want to clarify that we did move funds into this account, right? Is this the account that we just moved funds into?
No, this will be out of our general fund.
Oh, this is our
For that.
general fund, because it does say funding is available through the curriculum capital
Oh,
fund.
Yeah, we'll see what our year end, if we need to do any.
If we need to, okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so it can kind of
Yeah,
be out of either.
part of that curriculum fund movement is next year math is in review, and it's likely that
Oh, yes. I
a
remember
new
that.
adoption will be
Okay.
recommended. So having some money in that curriculum fund in particular will be good. And I think this was, have it in here. Yeah, this is a multi-year.
Yes.
Which is,
And I'm guessing this didn't go to, I mean, when does it go to the curriculum committee? These are just curricular resources, so.
this was already, like, this curriculum was approved 3 years ago
Gotcha.
by the board.
And so it's just a subscription to use it for
Yeah.
the.
It's an existing fund.
Right.
I thought that same question came to my mind then. Thanks,
I think I saw some of these, I think Mrs. Gonzalez showed me the Amplify stuff, so.
Any other discussion? All right, voice vote please. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion passes. Curriculum adoption.
I move to approve the curriculum adoption recommendation as presented in the board packet.
Been moved and seconded, discussion.
And so these ones were not already ones that we were used, but we had used, but sources, they don't go to the curriculum committee or.
Yeah, so I had emailed the curriculum committee just to say this was going to be my recommendation, and if anybody had any comments to kind of take a look at. A couple of people responded, but I didn't necessarily want to call a curriculum meeting for a 10-minute meeting, given everybody's busy schedules. So we were communicating by email that. So just as a
And,
maybe a little bit more information. So this primarily would be used and added to the CCS handbook on the approved curriculum list. So we'll add that without bringing the entire handbook back for board approval. Like this is kind of a administrative just sort of thing to add. But it would potentially be able to be used in our brick and mortar classrooms as well, should any teacher find that those resources are, usable. But what I was going to say about CCS is that parents who are homeschooling their kids receive a stipend, right, based on their FTE or full-time equivalent, and they can only be reimbursed for what's been approved for use. So some parents have really liked this. There are these curricular resources, and they purchased them, and they didn't use their stipended or their allocation dollars because the resources weren't approved for that. So, a parent can select any curriculum that they want, or resources that they want, including religious materials, but they can't use the allocations unless those resources are approved. So this will be approved, and we may reimburse the person after the fact based on the now approved resources. So.
yeah, when I saw that it was for the correspondence school, I was kind of hoping that there was some type of, maybe even, more individualized type consideration that we were having on things, but yeah. But the whole process was gone through correctly as we wanted to, and thanks for explaining that. That makes sense.
So the stipend that we get the stipend for the students that are homeschooled through our program? And then we reimburse them if they purchase items?
So we list students on our what's called the Fall Oasis report, and we list them with an FTE according to the school that they're in. So if they're in our correspondence program full-time, they're listed as a 1.0 FTE, and we receive 90% of the base student allocation for those particular
The
students.
state and the city and.
Well, we don't receive separate monies from the city or
That's just
programs, right? But it's from through legislation, the base student allocation. Statewide correspondence students are considered 9/10 of a student's worth in funding, if that's the right way to say it. So, we get those resources, and then we turn around and based on what the enrollment status is. So a student who's enrolled full-time, the allocation is $2,000. If they're enrolled 3/4 of the time, it's $1,500, and then 1,000 for half-time, and then 500 for quarter time enrollment. And so we could receive funding in two different ways. So if they're enrolled, let's say half-time in correspondence and half-time in brick and mortar, they appear twice under two different schools on that Oasis report. And then their full-time equivalent percentage is calculated in that base student allocation.
I was sort of chuckling. Well, you know, you get 0.9 of the BSA and it doesn't run through the formula and through all the factors in there, district cost factor and so on and so forth. But I was chuckling this year at the legislative session. They wanted to increase and I don't know. To me, it's Dunleavy created this correspondence program back in 2015 or so. In 2014, he was trying to push vouchers. And in 2014, we had that SB 21 that cut $2 billion of revenue from the oil corporations. So he backed off in his voucher bill because that would have cost the state around $100 million. But he wrote this correspondence funding program or correspondence program at the same time. And the title of the bill is Grants to AASB, and within it is his correspondence program. And so you're not in the brick and mortar, so it's 0.9. And you know, you can see how this thing has been conflated and misconstrued throughout the years. And so what's happening now, and when we wrote the correspondence program here, we said only kids from Cordova could go to the correspondence program, because what I was seeing at the time was a district was offering $1,500, then another district was offering $1,800, and and trying to poach kids from other districts. And it's, to me, it bothers me because we rely on the funding of our own kids. So when another district comes in and steals kids from our district, it kind of bothers me. So what's happened now is that, for example, all of Grace, what is it, ACS, or it's Mountain View Christian Academy, has gone to Denali School District, signed up under the Denali Correspondence Program, which bends my head. You're going to two schools. So, but Denali's offering $3,000. They split it in half essentially. So the state is sending $3,000 for every student at Anchorage or whatever, Mountain View Christian Academy. But they're doing a lot of it in the private schools and charter schools, or private schools and parochial schools are going to the public school districts in Anchorage, Mat-Su. But right now there's a case out there against this to try to stop this public funding of private and parochial schools that's against our Constitution. And so there's a case against Galena, Denali, Mat-Su, and Anchorage right now for that funding. And the thing, I mean, it's very clearly listed as to what you can spend the money on, but people are going haywire. One of the things in Fairbanks is that, we try to keep our student activity fees low. Well, these people are going to, and it's the million-mile view is we're funding wealthy people's education. Kids that go to Monroe and whatnot, they asked, what are they using their funding for? They're paying their student activities funds. And they can go to the private or public school, but we try to keep our student activities funds down so that, everybody can participate. So it's really funny how this correspondence program has changed, but you can see kind of Governor Dunleavy's plans have been in place for this whole against public education and funding private and parochial schools, and how he's working around the voucher system. He didn't have enough funds, but he's found this way, working through the Attorney General's wife, Jody Taylor, who works for Alaska Policy Forum, and telling parents who go to private and parochial schools how to circumvent the Constitution their husband's supposed to uphold. I mean, it's just mind-numbing how this is happening, but it'll be interesting to see what happens when the Supreme Court case comes out. Yeah.
Thank you. Any other discussion on this item?
No, I'm excited to see Brave Writers on there. When we were homeschooling, we used some of their stuff, and my daughter is actually taking an online course through them this summer. And they've been great. So yeah, I was excited about these acquisitions to the list.
Great. Hearing no further discussion. Voice vote, please. Those in favor say aye.
Hi.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Who made the motion and second?
I made the motion.
Thank you.
BPAR 6151 class size.
I'll move to approve BPAR 6151 class size, new board policy and administrative regulation first read is presented in the board packet.
The moved and seconded discussion.
I appreciate Alex writing this one up. I saw the model policy and I appreciate the AR that you developed as well. Kind of goes into depth about the how.
And so if more kids show up in the first grade, we'll hear about it. Because the superintendent will notify.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's kind of a funny bill. Even when it first came out, I was texting Andy and a Representative Story and Representative Himshoot, and it's like, gosh, this is lovely, but we don't have any money. How much more administrative time does this take you to fill out this paperwork? You know, in regards because the state hasn't funded us, it just baffles me. So, how much time do you think it'll take you or the superintendent?
Well, so if the language, of course, is intentional, right? And in the statute, it talks about targeted numbers. And the way that the statute reads is that the district has to provide to the public targeted class sizes, right? So it doesn't say that they have to be that size. It says that you have to target, you have to tell the public that that's your targeted class size. And of course, what we put in writing will, try to agree to. But if we had 24 students, for example, that doesn't mean we have to hire a second teacher and divide the kids. We have to just work at targeting that class size. And in the legislation, there are some exemptions about music class and PE class and career technical ed classes that don't necessarily need to be targeted like the regular classroom. So, but Pete, I mean, I don't think it. I mean, it's not going to be additional time. It's something that the principals will include in their reports, or the superintendent would include in their monthly report.
And
class sizes.
And you don't want it to be too reactionary because in the middle of the year, all of a sudden you get two more kids, and the last thing you want to do is split that class in half, make two classes, have a whole bunch of kids, get a brand new teacher, brand new set of expectations, and everything. That wouldn't be positive either. Any other discussion?
I guess I was just curious, so is this did we already have a policy and this is a change, or this is a brand new policy? Like, did we have a max class sizes before?
No, this is a new policy, and the legislation was passed last year,
Okay.
but the effective date is July 2026.
Mhm.
So this will be a first reading, and then in August will be the second reading of
Okay.
this, and then we will have adopted it in August then for the school year.
Okay, and so it's a state, like maximum, is that the maximum numbers for the classes is a statewide legislation,
Yes.
not just this district? Okay.
Yes.
The AASB takes a look at any new legislation that passes,
Mhm.
any new statutes that change. There's the civics class, the CPR class, a couple others that I'm monitoring, student mental health, I can't remember all of them, that are potentially passing that will have an effect on policy. And the AASB will develop new policies in that manner, similar to this one.
Okay.
No further discussion, a voice vote. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion passes. Item number 7. I even wrote.
Lonnie, we moved the stipends from the consent agenda to an action item right now. So right now we're talking about this thing with. You wanna?
So do we need a motion then?
Yeah, I'll move to approve items 2 through 10 in the consent agenda.
Second.
Been moved to second, discussion.
I think I added up, it was like 19,766 for the total number of stipend. And I was trying, I should know, is it 20,000 or
30,000.
30? Okay. and then I just wanted to say, I really, really appreciate the teachers taking advantage. And so within the negotiated contract, we did this similarly with the classified group. We always want to promote, increasing paraprofessionals. There's a push at the state or to, develop paraprofessionals into teaching staff. And then as well as our teaching staff, we always encourage professional development on their part. And it's a bonus to them as well if they can move over steps and in with their increasing knowledge, and it benefits our students as well. Just appreciate the staff that's going to these lengths. And that was the only question I had. I couldn't remember the exact numbers.
Did you say?
Well, I just had a question and it's not critical, but I was thinking about this when I was looking through these and I mean, obviously we have people taking classes that are 100 or 200 a credit, and then we have people taking classes that are
Thousands.
thousands of dollars per credit. And do we as a district concern ourselves with that, or are we just concerned about the $30,000 cap and the teachers union can manage that the way they see fit?
Yeah, so what we're obligated to is having available $30,000, and lots of times those committees will meet toward the end of the year, and then each committee kind of looks at, they know that there's a maximum of $30,000 that can be allocated for reimbursement. And even in the agreement, the negotiated agreement, it says that if the number of reimbursement requests exceed the amount that's available, then people will proportionately be reimbursed an amount. And so people know that there's a little bit of a risk of taking these higher courses that they may not get them entirely reimbursed. And in my time here, I don't think that that's happened, that we've exceeded. We've come really close in lots of years to that. It used to be $25,000. And in the last negotiations, we bumped that to 30,000. So.
Okay.
Do you ever see, I know maybe you don't know, but when they take a class, is there ever any like, hey, this is what I learned in the class, or, kind of like a little bit more formalized information sharing or anything like that goes on, is maybe in the professional learning community or something like that to just kind of double the impact?
Yeah, lots of times staff will share that out at staff meetings to talk about what it is that they learned, or when they're like grade level peers, for example, like throughout the year, they'll be working on a particular, strategy or something that was learned at that grade level.
Cool.
Yeah, and it's the 400 level courses or above that are reimbursed. So if somebody wanted to take a lesser, not sure why people would, but because movement on the salary schedule across columns is also a minimum of 400 level courses. So it really doesn't, unless you have a passion or a great interest in a particular topic, that's a 300 level course. You're not going to do that. And people will often come to me before they register for a class and say, hey, I'm thinking about taking this. What do you think it's a reimbursable sort of course? Because, if you're an English teacher and wanting to take a welding class, I might say, well, that's really not in your, even though you have an interest and you might be able to connect with students on that, I'm probably not going to support a reimbursement because it's not kind of in your teaching lane.
So there is a little bit of accountability in this process.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's worked well.
Yeah.
Historically.
So does everyone need pre-approval before they take course, or can they sign up and, I mean, if it's gonna fit, it's gonna fit?
Yeah, there's language in the agreement that says if you have any doubt or any questions at all, make sure you talk to the superintendent to get approval for that.
But you said it's not been an issue.
No.
Alex has clarified the negotiating contract several times.
I just wanted to encourage the sharing of information with. And that kind of networking.
All right, no further discussion. We have a motion on the table for the consent agenda items 2 through 10. We'll do a voice vote. Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. That takes us to pending agenda.
Looking forward to it.
Board self-seven.
Yeah, that is scheduled. So confirmation from AASB and I signed the contract,
Okay,
signed the MOU. Yes.
Or Sandy gonna make cinnamon rolls?
well, we also, um,
I'll let her new
is it, yeah, so is there advantage?
Find her at breakfast and that.
Well, I'm wondering if it makes sense for us to have a work session prior to this. Shortly after Kim comes on board, just to maybe talk about what some of her priorities for this experience, what she'd like to get out of it. Maybe we could share what we'd like to get out of it. Because we're paying ASB to come work with us, so
Yeah.
if there are certain things that we want to make sure we walk away. From this experience with. Or things that she absolutely would like to know about us.
Right.
Theoretically, we'll have a board meeting on the 12th of August. So the regular planning, and that's sometimes.
I may
know-
not give enough time to ASB though
I
to.
know one district, it was waited for a while to have that meeting rather than right off the bat, but that's also a time to have the conversation at the table too. I think I remember Alex at that first meeting or something. Twatty was brought up, I believe, was my first awareness of Twatty. That's the way we've always done it before.
Yeah, it's the acronym for that's the way we've always done it.
Okay.
That's why.
I don't mind having, if we need to have like a quick work session or some type of formal
Yeah.
meeting where we can have an open discussion.
Sure.
I appreciate you offering that or, bringing that up because I feel like I'm the one that keeps saying, we didn't have time, we talked about other things and I felt like we could have made a lot of progress and now we're a whole year later on. So, I would support that. I also don't mind writing you an email. And then if you want to compile them and I don't think I don't think that's if we just had an email that I sent you.
Yeah,
or
you could send ideas to me. I really want to make sure we talk about this.
Could if you want to facilitate that with the new superintendent and with AS,
Yeah.
that's also
I
fine.
can run it by Kim and then see if what she thinks and add some things to it.
And
And then I'll forward it to Pete and, right, you can take it to the appropriate
Well,
ASB person. Who's gonna be leading us this year?
I'm not exactly sure at the moment. We were talking about it a little bit, but I'm not exactly sure right at the moment. Generally, it's been Jenny, but I'm not sure.
what if too, because I would like to hear what other people say as well, if we just emailed Hank. And then if that could just be you can facilitate, but then also our emails would be on information items in the next board packet. So then I could actually see, okay, oh, that's what Milani said without it being
I
this.
don't
whole-
think our individual emails are on.
So I would suggest if you want to hear a suggestion,
Yeah,
is you email your ideas to Kim. And
She can-
I can provide her with some context about,
sure.
right? And then she can collate them and she can send them out to the board.
Yeah, nice.
Perfect. And then we,
Because
and
it's
she can
not-
work with AS.
Yeah, and it's not,
Yeah,
it's not communication between.
Right, no, right.
people, it's the superintendent providing information to the board.
Good.
And then and can talk with her about
Sure.
planning or what that looks like.
I do want to just clarify though, that I do want to hear what everyone else, but I don't want to be heard. I want to.
Yeah, so and Kim can send it to all. of us.
Yeah, I just get better ideas too when I hear.
No, I agree.
So,
Totally agree.
Cool. Thank you.
Okay, audience comments? Oh, bearded one? No, I think,
You got
Yeah.
a free pass on this meeting.
no. I need a motion to adjourn, I think.
Word comment.
Board comments, sorry. Board comments.
I guess I'll go. I attended, well, thank you, Hank, for inviting me to speak at the 6th grade graduation. That was a lot of fun for me. And I think after having gone to CHS's graduation, SoHi's graduation, I think I was like a little bit too invested in my 6th grade graduation remarks. But it was a lot of fun. I was just so proud of the kids. Great to see a packed commons, and really looking forward to having that group at the 7th grade. I think that I know many of them personally, and I just think that they're a stellar group of kids. So thank you for that opportunity. I was very
And I had every plan on being there. But I have something called syncope where I pass out sometimes. I'm coughing. And I went down and hit my face. And
Oh, I'm so sorry.
split my nose, split my forehead, and
Gotta sit down. Coughing.
yeah, if I knew.
Yeah. Well, thank you for the invite.
Yep.
That was, it was really a treat for me to be there. I did feel a little bit silly though, because Don Gonzalez had me sitting in the very front row next to them, and I just felt a little bit like the big kid that was at the little kid graduation, like I held back or something. But anyway, thank you. Happy to represent the school board for those kids. And then also, I just thought we had a really good example tonight of the importance of local control, right? There's a piece of legislation about target class sizes and the numbers and the extra administrative, right? All this like signaling that's coming from our state, but then we as a school board, maybe not in a formal board policy, but absolutely through conversations and absolutely through past practices, we've been supporting this idea of small class sizes. And so there's going to be a lot of, control issues between state and education and us, but really we're the ones that matter, because we're the ones that are making the decisions every day and supporting what's actually going to happen in our schools. So I just take a lot of pride in that we're not waiting for the state to make us do something. We're charging ahead and doing the best for education, whether or not everyone else is doing it or what. We're kind of apolitical in that way. And as a board, we are allowed to operate that way. So I think that's just like a great reminder of the big picture and the importance of our role as a school board, and how we can support and not get kind of sucked in even to some of these things too. We hold a lot of power to influence the education in our communities. And I'm really proud of this board for doing that and seeing that and acting that way. So I thought that's a great example to really reflect on tonight.
Thank you.
And thank you, Mr. Russin, for your many years of service. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just first wanted to apologize for being late. I got my wires crossed. And then thank you so much for many, many years of service. And I wish you lots of free time to play racquetball and all of the or pickleball, sorry, and all of the various things now that you won't have quite so many things on your plate.
Thank you.
Excuse me. And I wanted to congratulate the principals and the rest of the staff for another successful year. Seemed like it just flew by this year. And everything that's been accomplished, the kids' student achievement, and all the work that's been done. And then I guess I probably said everything I should. I'll stop with Alex, but I just really appreciate your service to the district and the many years that you were here. So
Thanks, Pete.
All right. I echo what everybody else says. Look forward to seeing everybody next Tuesday for the party.
I shared it on Facebook.
Yeah, Sue said she saw it. Thank you for doing that. So, Alex,
You can give me the last word as a
you get the last word.
as an ex officio member of the board.
Yep.
Yeah, well, thank you, each and every one of you, in the time that I've gotten to know you. And, so about 11 years ago, a friend of mine had said, 12 years ago, a friend of mine had said, if you ever get the chance to go to Cordova, you should take it, you know, apply for any position. He actually had a boat parked in the harbor here, a sailboat, for a number of years. And in which I won't say whether I did or my son or the both of us did, but we took the nameplate off of the where his boat was moored, I guess. And my son and I shellacked it and, you know, kind of wrote a nice little saying on the back of it and sent it to him down in the lower 48, to which he was quite surprised and he was happy, and it happened to coincide with his birthday, so it was a nice little tribute that way. But he's a guy that I'm thankful for encouraging me to seek out opportunities in Cordova. This was the only district that I had applied for when I was leaving the lower Yukon, so I'm glad that you all, Pete, said yes to me at the time. It was a great transition from bush living to city living, big city living, and just a short anecdote. Like within the first couple of days of me being here, I was at the gas station, and you all probably know my old red truck. I'm filling it up at the gas station, and somebody didn't know who I was, but they recognized me as the new superintendent, and they kind of laughed as they were saying, "Hey, welcome to Cordova. I bet you think gas is expensive here, huh?" And I internally I had a big chuckle. I think it was like 3.49 a gallon at the time, and I said, "Well, considering where I was living, I was paying $11 a gallon for gas, so I think it's pretty nice here." And I think the biggest change for me is being able to turn the sink water on and drink directly out of the tap instead of either boiling my water or hauling it in 5-gallon buckets from a spring a half a mile away for 10 years. So he kind of looked at me like, where were you? And so we had a nice conversation at that time. But Cordova really has been great to me and my family during the last 11 years. And I'll be eternally grateful and thankful for all of the interactions that I've had during that time. So thank you all. Thanks. And yeah, I heard that next Tuesday at the gathering, there'll be an opportunity to roast me.
Oh, it's gross. I didn't
So-
know that on Facebook.
Would you put it on there? You mentioned it to me a couple days ago, and I didn't know if it was serious, but it's the second time you said it, so.
Yeah,
I tell people to fire away.
yeah. It will confirm the people that don't like me. You know, I know there are some people I think don't like me, but
The
Come and
thought
roast-
bubbles.
come and roast me.
Yeah.
Tell me how you really feel.
How
The
Xavier
administrators
dunked
get all,
you. First day you came to
here's your
town.
chance.
Flying on Friday.
Oh.
Oh, I also just wanted to mention Barb wanted the link for the YouTube, and she wanted me to tell you that she's watching and she appreciated is so grateful for all of your work. So
Yeah, thanks.
Tell Barb, get her roasting again, the tourists. All right, I need a motion to adjourn moved.
easy.
and seconded, discussion. Meeting adjourned.
Vote on it.
Oh, yeah, we talked about that. Yes,
Yeah,
yes, we
yeah,
did.
we have-
All in favor, say aye.
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 Good.
Adjourn.
I'm a stickler for no so move.
I'll never get that right.
There's one of the guys I know.